Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek here, back again with some more geeky news. Then, what we got tonight? What have we got tonight? Let's have a look. We've got a bit of Doctor Who, a bit of Transformers, a bit of science news, which is quite exciting, and I'll save that for the end. And lots of other good stuff. So, right, first up, Doctor Who. There it is, as you know, you might know that logo, Geeks and Gamers. Let's just say they're not very happy about the way certain brands and franchises have gone. So just bear that in mind. Details of Jodie Whittaker's regeneration revealed. Right, the end is nigh. The nightmare is soon coming to a swift end. Yet will its conclusion mark salvation or the final damnation? After years of vile and accusatory Doctor Who shoved down the fans' throats by Jodie Whittaker, Chris Chibnall and the BBC, their reign of terror is nearly over. This rapidly approaching abolition is reigniting the fans' love of this franchise to heights not seen since the 13th Doctor's first fated words on screen. But will Russell T Davies be able to bring this fallen show back from the very brink of hell's fiery pit? Very flowery language, isn't it? There is hope now for redemption, and that hope is blossoming more and more with every scrap of news released about Season 14's production, and with each passing day toward the death of the 13th Doctor. It won't be long now before the show's future is revealed, but until then we have some news about how this transition will transpire. And there's Jodie and the others. Don't ask, I have no idea, I don't watch it. A series of quotes from Doctor Who crew members and actors were compiled in an article by Salon that gives the fans a glimpse into how Jodie Whittaker's abdication will occur. The director of Jodie's final episode, Jamie Magnus, had this to say: "We shot the last ever scene in the TARDIS and said goodbye to the TARDIS, and then there were some tears, and we went out to film basically her regeneration, and the last shot that we did, I think, will be the last shot in the episode as well. So it was really nice to do things in sequence, and it was mostly Jodie and Mandip Gill's scenes on that last day, so it was just super emotional." That's Mandip Gill, I do believe. The article further elaborates that the cast and crew of this final episode are excited to bring the audience a regeneration scene that subverts expectations by occurring outside the safety of the TARDIS. Yeah. Any fan of the series can attest that there is nothing brave nor daring about having a regeneration outside of the TARDIS. TARDIS. As many former Doctors ended their time in the iconic role in similar circumstances. The best example of this would be Tom Baker's fourth Doctor, arguably the best Doctor. Baker's Doctor fell from a great height in an effort to stop the dastardly Master's most recent scheme and died in the attempt, peacefully regenerating into the fifth Doctor, Peter Davidson, who I quite liked. There is nothing special about this decision, and if the people currently working on the show were truly fans, they would know this. And there's Peter Davidson. Beyond the fact that it has been done many times before, a regeneration outside the TARDIS is often not the best option. In New Who especially. Pioneered in Russell T Davies' original run and continued by Stephen Moffat, the TARDIS became more than just a vehicle in which to travel from point A to point B. The TARDIS became a character in and of itself, beloved by the fans, and just as integral to the story as the Doctor himself, providing a needed depth to the Doctor's wanderings. Jodie Whittaker's run regressed the TARDIS as a character, as a being, relegating it to a simple transport device with no heart or soul. I won't know because I can't remember, because as I said before, I hadn't watched Doctor Who for a while. The Doctor often regenerated in the TARDIS during the current era because it was tragic to see that Doctor and this TARDIS say goodbye to their former self simultaneously. There was a bittersweetness to those goodbyes, of these goodbyes, as if the Doctor and the TARDIS were walking hand in hand out into the dark, into oblivion, before emerging as new entities with all the memories of their old selves, but with a new personality and identity. By robbing the fans of that just to subvert expectations, and not for a broader story reason, is tantamount to sacrilege. It's disingenuous and offensive to the vibrant character that the TARDIS is to so many fans. Strong words. Told you what they're like, geeks and gamers. They don't mince the words, but they're not wrong. Despite all this, most fans do not care either way how the 13th Doctor dies, as long as she dies. The Doctor doesn't really die, though. You know, the change, blah blah blah. You know what I mean. The BBC's desecration of the TARDIS's character and soul is just a minor issue in an otherwise broken and inept show. This is just another example of how fundamentally Chris Chibnall and the BBC never understood and never could comprehend the magic and power this incredible show once possessed. As such, Jodie Whittaker's regeneration will not have the enchantment nor the captivation of her predecessor's scenes, with no relationship between her and the TARDIS. That all too powerful final goodbye between them will be immaterial and entirely out of reach. Oh, she's looking with a gob open and her nose doing it. I got an upgrade. I'm sure she's not saying that. There. In that same article, by the way, there's a link there for the article, and as usual, sorry, nose tickling again, we're going to have an argument. The links will be in the description below, so you can read this stuff for yourself if you can't understand my Yorkshire twang, if such a thing exists. In that same article, Jodie Whittaker is quoted as saying, "I've shot my version of Regeneration and it was singularly the most emotional day on set I think I've ever had. It's a really bizarre feeling because it's the best time I've ever had on a job and I made the decision to leave it." Did you? So it's a really strange thing to do to yourself. I mean, there's some, you might go into this, but there's been some suggestions that her agent said, "Get out while you can." So maybe that's what happened. These words are vitriol to the fan. They neither endear Jodie nor do they inspire sympathy. The damage was already done a long time ago. Jodie went into the role having never watched the previous episode and saying that the show was a practice in the male gaze. Those are not words of someone who loves to be on set, and that is not someone who loves this world or is sorry to say goodbye to it. She labels it as her best job because it's the biggest paycheck she's ever had. There is no love or passion for the role and no genuine grief at departing it. Only regret that her paychecks will stop. The fans have lost all sympathy for whatever hardship she may be going through at this departure, real or imagined, financial or emotional, because of how she's treated this role and disregarded the fans. She only ever spewed hate towards the show that she owes all this financial success to, so why should the fans care or fret over her hardship? There's Russell T Davies. It is still unknown who will be replacing Jodie Whittaker in the role, but returning showrunner Russell T Davies had some comments as well from an interview with the Radio Times. In stark contrast to Jodie's attitude toward the series, we have Davies, who very clearly loves this show deeply. He brought it back from the dead once, which required an exorbitant amount of work that he was willing to put in because of his deep love for it. As such, the fans are deeply excited for his return for a myriad of reasons. Some trust his love to champion over the agenda of the BBC that corrupted the show in the first place, while others look forward to his return to merely see for sure if the show can be saved. A final nail in the coffin that will allow fans to bury their love for the show once and for all, so to speak. In this interview, Davies said, "Things are..." Hang on, where's me... where are you? I can't see it. Me eyes. "There are things coming up that have brand new ways of telling the stories that have never been done before, so it just feels new. I wouldn't go back if it wasn't feeling new. But that's the thing about Doctor Who, every episode is new, every single episode. I'm sitting here now, 10 pages away from a climax, thinking, God, I've never written this in this territory before. This is strange and new. It's always new. It's a self-renewing show." I read that yesterday, didn't I, in the article, or the day before, whatever. Davis's excitement can be commended and does help endear him further into the hearts of fans. Doctor Who's ability to self-renew is part of the beauty of the show. Not many series can continue for 60 years and still have life in them. That is why so many people fell in love with it, and that is why when the show was so thoroughly debased and murdered by Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker, it hurt so much. It's mainly Chris Chibnall in it. I mean, she's just an actress, isn't she? Although I'm sure she had some input, but, not much. Say your lines, stand on your mark. Do your job. Fans cannot build up 60 years' worth of love for something and then have it torn away and not feel a hole in themselves. However, many are concerned by Davis's comments as well. With the current state of the series, a return to form is believed to be the best route forward and possibly the only chance for its survival. If Davis is focusing on something new, that could spell disaster and the show's final demise. Alternatively, the sheer talent of Davis may prevail in breathing new life into the show, that newness becoming its redemption. At this point, fans will just have to wait and see what happens, but they will know the future of the show eventually, and the torment will finally be over, one way or another. I mean, it could also mean... Let's go back to the top. That's it for that. Go back up to the top. There we go. What was I saying? Yeah, it could also mean, the next Doctor could be somebody that, certain sections of the fandom like even less than Jodie Whittaker. I'm not suggesting who, but it could be a controversial one. We'll see. I'm sure in the next 6 months or so it'll all be revealed, because Jodie's got 2 or 3 more episodes. I think a regeneration scene will be in the New Year's special. So we'll find out sometime before that who the new Doctor's going to be. I should imagine. Right, anyway, so from one series that in fans' eyes is going downhill to another, series of movies that I can't stand, but we've got to cover it. Wait, where are you? New Transformers movie Rise of the Beast will kick off a new trilogy. I hate the Transformers movies. I do. I can't stand it. Even the first one. People say, the first one were alright. No, it wasn't. It were flaming horrible. Hated them. Good CGI, but awful films. Just terrible. Terrible. Right, anyway, who's that? I've no idea who that is. It's a Transformer, or is it a Decepticon? I have no idea, because you know what? They all look the same to me. They do. Right, Paramount has announced that the new Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts, will mark the start of a new live-action trilogy for the franchise. Yes, we're going all the way up to Transformers 9. Great stuff. The news was revealed during Paramount's Investor Day. Transformers Rise of the Beast will be released theatrically in 2023 and is the first of 3 new instalments, Paramount said. Is Michael Bay doing a paint? There are also more projects in the works as the Transformers universe continues to expand. A new animated series from Nickelodeon arrives this fall, and in 2024 the franchise expands further with a CG animated Transformers theatrical film. Rise of the Beast is set for release on June 9th, 2023 and will be helmed by Creed 2's Stephen Capel Jr. Capel? Don't know. I apologise to him. I'll say Capel. Stephen Capel Jr. Last year saw the rollout of a handful of story details for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. The main characters were revealed during a virtual event. The lead humans are Noah, played by Anthony Ramos from In the Heights, and Elena, played by Dominique Fishback from Judas and the Black Messiah. Noah is ex-military, while Elena is an artifact researcher, though further details are thin on the ground. Don't ask me what all this means, I have no idea. I hated the films. I think I saw the first... I saw the first 2, and, the third one, Dark of the Moon, because I made it about 5 minutes into that. And I just turned it off because I hate them. But people say, the yellow car one. I can't call it. That one, the film, he got his own film. People said that's good, but I don't know because I've not seen that because the others are bab. Which means rubbish. Anyway, where were we? The story begins in Brooklyn, 1994, and covers the globe. One confirmed setting is Machu Picchu, Peru, which is an ancient city up in the Andes Mountains. Rise of the Beast will also bring in Maximals, Predacons, and Terracons as new factions. More familiar faces include the likes of Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Yeah, him, Bumblebee. Got his own film, didn't he? And Ron Perlman will voice Beast Wars character Optimus Primal. Paramount also announced A Quiet Place 3 is in the works. I didn't like Quiet Place either. I think that film annoyed the hell out of me. It did. Let's have a world where we can't make any noise. We're not allowed to make any noise whatsoever because, creatures will come and eat us. So we'll have a baby. God, I hate it. But people say, the second one is good. I don't care. First one was shite. But it won. It got nominations. I don't care. It was rubbish. And while Star Trek 4 is moving forward with Chris Pine and a Blue Clues movie, has everyone thinking the same thing? What? Is that? I don't know. It's just like Spider-Man No Way Home, kinda. I have no idea. I don't know. From Blade Runner to 2001: The Space Odyssey, here are some of the best sci-fi movies. Whatever, there's a link. Description. That's all I've got to say. So there we go. More Transformers. I'm sure they'll make loads of money because countries like China and that, they love the Transformers films, don't they? Make tons of money there. Because Chinese people like big robots smashing things up. For some reason, maybe they want to see giant robots smashing up their communist leaders. Ooh, politics. Right, so we'll move on to somebody who everybody seems to like, Deadpool. Deadpool fans debate if Ryan Reynolds' Merc is on Doctor Strange 2's new poster. And of course, Merc means mercenary, not Mercury Rapids, which is available to buy on Amazon. Thought I'd get that in there. The latest poster for Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness has fans speculating that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is about to land in the MCU, and there he is, Deadpool. A new poster for Marvel's upcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has fans wondering if Deadpool is about to make his MCU debut. Now, I've got to admit, I had a sneak peek earlier on, and I have no idea where people are seeing Deadpool, so maybe you can tell me in the comments below where he is in the picture, but we'll get there. The poster, where are you going? The poster for the second Doctor Strange movie shows the Sorcerer Supreme front and centre. He's not though, is it? It's is it Wong or whatever his name is, who's Sorcerer Supreme now, isn't he? He got it taken away because he was blipped for 5 years. Maybe he's been given it back. Where were I? Sorcerer Supreme, front and centre as the iconic round window of the Sanctum Sanctorum shatters around him. Many of the flying glass shards feature close-ups of the film's cast, while some smaller pieces display images of icons hinting at the mystical nature of the story. One particular shard has fans speculating that Deadpool is about to explode onto the MCU scene. The glass in question is the upper left of the poster at about 11 o'clock, if the round window were a clock face. The kids these days know what a round clock face is. So there you go. Is this actually Deadpool? You tell me, is that Deadpool? Where have they seen Deadpool there? I don't know. There's a bit of red there. I don't know what that is. There's a white blob there. It looks like a nipple. Looks like a pentagonal nipple to me. So maybe it's Deadpool's nipple. Because you know what he's like. I can't see it. Anyway, so somebody else said me inspecting the F out of those shards, hoping to see Deadpool in a reflection, and there's a picture of, is it a Barbie or something like that with a magnifying glass. This is either Spider-Man or Deadpool. Again, I can't see out there. Can't see out there, mate. Nope. Captain Carter, Reed Richards. What? Or is this? Are these other ones? Oh, Deadpool. Is that one Captain Carter? That one Reed Richards. Oh yeah, because it's the Union flag, isn't it? That Captain Carter. It could be Captain Britain for all we know. And Reed Richards, that that could be, I suppose. But still can't see Deadpool there. Nope, can't. And still more comparisons. Nope, not appearing for me. Could be like one of those magic eye pictures that I could never get them to work either. They were all just mush of colours for me. While some fans are hopeful, others insist that the grainy image, even enhanced, is not conclusive evidence. Well, you can say that again. Even though the two white dots surrounded by a black and red pattern may match up with Deadpool's design. Oh. What? A grain of salt is advised until official confirmation is given. One Twitter user even went as far as drawing an outline for the possible figure, comparing the result to a Deadpool promotional photo featuring the Merc with the mouth, putting a finger to his lips. So that's what we're looking at, isn't it, there? So that's supposed to look like that, is it? So what's that then? Or is that just another piece of glass in front? Is that supposed to be in front or behind that? Faces in the fire, that's what it is. Faces in the fire. Since the announcement of the title for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there has been rampant speculation that Marvel would use the concept as a device to consolidate its various franchises, non-MCU franchises. These include the X-Men and Deadpool, both of which were acquired when Disney purchased 20th Century Fox. Spider-Man No Way Home demonstrated Marvel Studios' willingness to explore parallel dimensions, and the Multiverse of Madness trailer seemingly confirms the MCU debut of the X-Men with a Patrick Stewart cameo, heavily hinting at a Professor X appearance. I nearly said experience then. Because I looked at the trailer, didn't I, the other day, and I was saying, who's these people with robots and stuff, and they seem to be in charge, didn't they, of Doctor Strange and that, and some people said they're the Illuminati, and some people have said that one of the characters that we saw, I think we saw part of him from behind, was Professor Xavier. So Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier, not the other fella, not the Scottish chap. James McAvoy. Name. Oh, here we go. All right, I see. So somebody's drawn that, have they? All right. Oh, yeah. See, now. See, I can see that now. Yes, very good. But it's still a bit of a push, isn't it? You know, it's a bit of a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch. There, I can see it now. That's his eyes. And that's his finger. He's doing that, isn't he? And, yeah, but it's still a bit of a stretch. It's still a bit. Just a bit. Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld recently addressed Multiverse of Madness rumours by saying the movie has to go big to follow No Way Home's success and buzz. It's around about 1 million years of, not 1 million years, but, you know, a lot of reshoots, weren't there? So some have suggested that there were, you know, stuffing cameos in. You know what I want to see, said Liefeld. I want to see the break in case of emergency moves. All the Fox Marvel stuff is there. Break all that glass, bring it all in. A different piece of broken glass from the new poster makes an even more overt allusion to Captain Carter from Marvel's What If series, who has already dealt with the multiverse as well as a dark version of Doctor Strange. Whether or not the shards truly reflect cameo clues remains to be seen. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness hits theatres on May 6, 2022. So there we go. So yes, so very good. So yes, that might be Deadpool. It could be Spider-Man for all I know, but it could be Deadpool as well. Could be Deadpool. We shall see. shan't we? Very interesting. I did actually find that quite interesting. Right, next up, Paramount Plus. Right, this is more for people in the UK because that's where I am, in the north of England. It's actually in the centre of the British Isles. You've got the British Isles, say there, and where I am is about in the middle. So, but it's still classed as the north, but even though we're in the middle, because you've got Scotland up here that takes up a big chunk, and then there's England and Wales over. I don't know which way you're looking, but over to the side. But I digress. Right, British TV viewers will be offered another streaming service when Paramount Plus launches this summer, featuring movies Top Gun Maverick and Mission Impossible 7 and new Star Trek Discovery episodes. Right, we won't read all that, we'll go straight in. We'll dive straight in. British TV viewers will be offered a new streaming service, Paramount Plus, with all new Star Trek Discovery episodes when it launches this summer. Not only that, don't forget the Star Trek Strange New Worlds as well. So I'm sure that'll debut on Paramount Plus. It's getting a bit much though, isn't it? All these streaming services. I don't think I'll be bothering. Got enough as it is. I already got Amazon and Disney Plus and Netflix and pardon me, and all that gas. Starting in 2024, Paramount has also announced that its feature films like Top Gun Maverick and the heavily delayed Mission Impossible 7 and The Lost City starring Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. Paramount Plus joins an already crowded market for streaming services in the UK, going into battle with big hitters like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video and Disney Plus, which have been steadily increasing prices. Yeah, I got an email yesterday at Disney Plus putting its prices up. And I think I had one from Netflix as well, other day. I can't remember. December. Listing new content and changes arriving this year, Paramount tweeted, "This summer Paramount Plus will come to the UK, bringing all our shows and movies to British audiences. But what about Pluto TV, with its several people watching it?" The company also announced that the third instalment of John Krasinski's A Quiet Place is scheduled for 2025. Following the huge success of the sequel in 2021, which was instrumental in encouraging people back to cinemas after long COVID closures. The film is likely to see Krasinski's wife Emily Blunt reprise her role as a mother desperate to protect her family as blind creatures with extremely sensitive hearing run rampage. I suppose she must survive the second film then, because I haven't seen it, I don't know. Spoilers. The US version of the service is already home to Yellowstone spin-off 1883, starring Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. She's a singer, isn't she? A country singer. And upcoming, if it's the same one, and upcoming series The Offer about the making of The Godfather, starring Miles Teller, Juno Temple, Matthew Good, and Giovanni Ribisi, who was in. I don't know who they are. But I know he were in Saving Private Ryan, wasn't he? He got shot at his stomach. And he were in Thingamajog. Oh God, I would do it so well with names as well, wouldn't I? That and The World of Tomorrow. What's the name of that film that had giant robots in and his plane flew under at sea? You know what I mean? That one. I loved that film, it was great. You were in that as well. Among a raft of announcements of new series is new Star Trek show Strange New Worlds, starring Anson Mount as Captain Pike, Rabbit Hole, a psychological thriller starring Kiefer Sutherland, and an update to Fatal Attraction starring Lizzie Kaplan and Joshua Jackson. Oh, it just popped in my head then and then went again. The company also announced Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, a musical prequel to the classic film, updated with new music and choreography. Won't be the same. Grease is amazing. That's one of my favourite films, is Grease. You wouldn't think so, but it is. It is. I went to Piss to see that back in 1978, and the queue was the longest queue I'd ever seen for a film, in my young life as it was. Went all the way around, back at pictures, and all the way down, a blockbuster. That's what it was. But luckily, I saw some friends from school when they at front, and they let me get in with them. So, but I digress. It will also premiere a new Beavis and Butthead movie, followed by new episodes of the animated series, while South Park will premiere 2 events on Paramount Plus each year for the next 6 years, and all episodes will be exclusive to the service internationally this year and in the US in 2025. Sorry, I was just thinking of that film again. It popped in my head again and then buggered off. The service says it already has more than 50 new international original shows planned as it expands into global markets. The news comes as part of a range of announcements by Viacom CBS following an Investor Day meeting on Tuesday. Viacom CBS will be rebranded to become Paramount, the company said, as we covered yesterday. Other American streaming platforms like Hulu are not available in the UK, which is why we have Star on Disney+, while HBO Max has given its rights to Sky Atlantic, which I don't get. So there we go. So that's that. Paramount Plus is coming to the UK. So I wonder how much that'll be. It'll be about the same as Netflix, I should imagine, shouldn't it? And Disney Plus. It'll be about 8 or 9 quid. It'll be a bit less than a tenner, probably, won't it? A month. Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. That's who it is. I love that film. I might watch that now. But I said that about Evolution and I still haven't watched that, have I? Right, next up, we're on Game Rant. 5 underrated sci-fi TV series cancelled after 1 season. And I bet there's a show that they don't mention. But we shall see. While some sci-fi shows like Heroes and The X-Files, and I bet there's some shows I've never heard of. I mean, that don't ring a bell, that picture there. While some sci-fi shows like Heroes and The X-Files arguably overstayed their welcome, other gems get cancelled before their time. These are the top 5. What, is this in their opinion or in somebody else's opinion? Public opinion. With the abundance of exciting TV shows available, just make sure you're actually seeing this and not chop it now. With the abundance of exciting TV shows available to viewers, it's not surprising that some of them can slip under the radar. So if you heard a noise then, but Princess, the family cat, has decided she wants to come in, and she's jumping up at the window outside. I can hear her. She's tapping out window to come in, but I can't let her in yet because I'm busy. So she'll have to wait. It's not raining, it's not windy, she's alright for a while. She'll live. She's not windowsill. I can't show you because I've got the curtains closed and stuff, so I'm sorry. With the abundance of exciting TV shows available to viewers, it's not surprising that some of them can slip under the radar. As a result, the viewing numbers don't meet the executives' expectations, and even the most excellent and promising series get cancelled before their time. While some sci-fi shows like Heroes, The X-Files and Haven arguably overstayed their welcome, other less-known gems never got a chance to shine and reveal their full potential, even though these 5 underappreciated sci-fi series got cancelled after only 1 season. They well deserve the time and attention of any genre fan. Right, numbers. This number 5 and number 1, whatever. Terra Nova, 2011 to 2012. Now, I know this one because I liked this one. It was dinosaurs, wasn't it? Fox Network is notorious for its often bewildering cancellation decisions. Netflix says, "Hold my beer." Especially when it comes to sci-fi and fantasy shows. This Jurassic Park-style adventure, which features a superb cast that includes Jason O'Mara, Christine Adams and Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang was a big star, wasn't he, really? And boasts Steven Spielberg as executive producer, fell yet another victim to the unfortunate trend. The story follows the Shannon family that fled the overpopulated and polluted 2149 Earth through a temporal rift to the Cretaceous period, unspoiled but brimming with all the associated dangers. Together with other pilgrims, they join the Terra Nova colony and face a group of separatists known as the Sixers, who aim to profit from smuggling the prehistoric resources to 2149. Despite dire consequences for the environment and Earth's future, Terra Nova is intriguing, suspenseful and exceptionally well made, which is reflected in several awards. It has a great premise, distinct character development and an intriguing twist at the end of the first season. Even though the audience is left with a cliffhanger, the available 13 episodes are still worth watching, and I've got it on DVD over there somewhere in the box set. Flash forward, 2009-2010, I remember this one as well, I think. That's somebody, I don't recognise them faces. That's the Hobbit, and he's in Star Trek, and he's in something else. This excellent ABC sci-fi drama came out on the heels of Lost, with the studio hoping for similar success. The premise is intriguing and promising. Almost everyone on Earth blacks out for 137 seconds and sees a glimpse 6 months into their future. The story focuses on an FBI task force led by Mark Benford, Joseph Fiennes, that's who that is, who investigates the reasons and implications of the blackout, as well as those who were mysteriously exempt from it. I'll be with you in a minute, princess. While the show's crime aspect keeps the audience in suspense, the characters' personal drama, deliberations, and attempts to understand, deter, or accelerate their respective futures make Flash Forward unique and intensely emotional. The series had an unfortunate combination of declining ratings, an extended hiatus, and the loss of multiple showrunners, which led to its eventual cancellation. However, the fans were not ready to let it go and launched a Save Flash Forward campaign with signed petitions, social media campaigns, and even staged blackouts in front of the ABC offices. If nothing else, this devotion is a sure sign that this underrated show deserves a watch. I think there were some other series that came out about the same time. A lot of these are round about the early 2010s, aren't they? There were a version of Invasion of Body Snatchers called Invasion, and that were good. That just lasted a season. And there were Flash Forward. There were Threshold. That were another good series that had names. Carla Gugino had her in it. That were good. With Threshold, another sci-fi one. And there were another one about sea creatures, sea monsters and stuff. And what was that called? I can't remember. What was that one called? It had a D in it. What was that one called? But that were good, and that ended on a cliffhanger as well, because everything got covered in the sea. Maybe we'll come across them down here, I don't know. Awake, there's Jason Isaacs. The combination of Mind Games and Fear Street, I've never heard of this one. The combination of Mind Games and Fear Street Part 1, 1994's Kyle Killen as the show's creator and Harry Potter's Lucius Malfoy, Jason Isaacs as the lead actor, are enough to mark the series as promising. Awake tops it up with an original premise. An LAPD detective, Michael Britton, gets into a horrific car crash with his wife and son and starts switching between two grim realities in his sleep. In one, he and his wife have to deal with the loss of their son, and in the other, he has to bring up his son as a single parent after the death of his wife. If that wasn't enough, Britton also picks up clues from each reality to solve cases in the other, all the while wondering which of them is real. The emotional story, sprinkled with some elements of procedural crime drama, Isaac's superb and nuanced performance, and a dizzyingly dynamic pace all make for a nail-biting and compelling watch. Awake's first and only season ended with a big revelation, even though it would have been undoubtedly interesting to see where the story goes from there. At the very least, the conclusion of this underrated sci-fi series gives a much-needed sense of closure. Yes, I've not heard of that one, but it's got Jason Isaacs in it. It's probably alright. But then again, Star Trek Discovery had Jason Isaacs in, and that's rubbish. But it was in season 1, and I quite like season 1. But there you go. I might not like it now. I liked it at the time. Almost Human. Is this the one that's based on the BBC Almost Human series about vampires and werewolves and stuff living together, or is this something else? I don't know. We'll have to read. Another victim of Fox's puzzling cancellation wave, J.J. Abrams' future set. I said Abrams. J.J. Abrams' future set Almost Human J.J. Adams, the captain of the C-57D, played by Leslie Nielsen. I'll have to look into that. It does ring a bell. Featured the modern sci-fi star, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek Dread, and The Boys make for one impressive portfolio. Carl Urban as a troubled detective, John Kennicks, who has a good reason to resent androids. Oh no, it's not that then, is it? It's about androids. Fair enough. But is eventually partnered with one. Oh yeah, that one I'm thinking of. Werewolves and Vampires had what they call him? Him that played Star Killer in the Jedi game thing. Him. I'm rubbish, I'm rubbish. But that's what I was thinking of, but it's not that, because this is about androids. I think I saw first episode or two of this, to be honest, because it does ring a bell, but it didn't grab me. Anyway, and he's eventually partnered with one. It's a bit like Holmes and Yo-Yo, you remember that one? From the 70s. The evolving robot-human relationship and a growing bond between become the show's centrepiece, lend it a ton of heart and allow the audience to enjoy an entertaining dynamic. The show's wise decision to depict a realistic rather than wildly imaginative future, the android's dry wit and reluctance to be associated with any implications of the term synthetic, Kennicks's investigation into his sustained blackout, and lost memories about a sinister syndicate and their crime-fighting endeavours make Almost Human a thoroughly enjoyable viewing experience. Fortunately for the show, its episodes were inexplicably aired out of order, confusing the audience and leading to an understandable decline in viewing numbers. Even though Almost Human was cancelled after only one season, the existing 13 episodes shouldn't be missed. This is the big one, isn't it? Firefly. This is what everybody knows and talks about. Written and directed by Joss Whedon, this fantastic and brilliantly original sci-fi western follows a raggedy group of space smugglers under the command of charismatic Captain Mal Reynolds, Nathan Fillion, as they take on the most bizarre contracts, all the while trying to fly under the radar of the Alliance federal government. The show suffered the same fate as Almost Human, with its episodes aired out of order by Fox, that also gave it an infamous Friday night death slot. Despite its eventual hasty cancellation, which is widely considered to be one of the most inexplicable and regrettable decisions in the history of sci-fi shows, Firefly gained a cult following and an ever-growing army of browncoats and fire bronies who are still hoping for the series revival. What's more, the show's popularity prompted the release of the 2005 sequel movie Serenity, which is really good, as well as an ongoing comic book series. Firefly's unique setting, irreverent humour, and an abundance of outright quotable lines, diverse and fleshed out characters, and a superb cast with sparkling chemistry that includes Gina Torres, Alan Tudyk, and Adam Baldwin make it one, and don't forget Summer Glau and her brother. Make it one of the best shows cancelled. Oh my god! After only one season and an absolute must-watch for any sci-fi fan, and that's it. That's it. They didn't mention Space Above and Beyond, which I absolutely loved. That was a fantastic series, all about space marines fighting chigs. That's what they call them. We don't actually know what they were called. Maybe we found out later towards the end of the season. I can't remember, but we called them chigs because their ships chigged about. And it was great, and I loved it. And it got cancelled after one season. I don't know how many episodes there were. Can't remember. But they didn't mention that, and said they didn't mention Threshold. They didn't mention Invasion. And they didn't mention that other one about the sea. What were it called now? It'll come to me. But that was good anyway. About this kid that finds this little sea creature, and he basically keeps it, and it grows into basically a little sea monster, and then all this other stuff starts happening. I think there was a big hurricane happened, and there were flooding and stuff, and all these other creatures came out of the deep, And I think there was something going on under the sea with people in like an undersea base sort of thing, doing stuff. I think they'd stirred up something from the depths, but I can't remember what it were called. But that were about the same time as Threshold and Invasion. Because it was quite similar to Invasion. I think Invasion had something to do with sea as well, which, even though it was, aliens. But anyway, so that's that. I'm sure you can think of some other TV shows that got cancelled after one season that should have been given another chance. And obviously there's lots of shows that kept going and keep going that should have been cancelled after half a season. Anyway, right, next on to a bit of Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien torched a Lord of the Rings film treatment for being treated carelessly, recklessly, and showing no evident signs of any appreciation of what it is all about. J.R.R. Tolkien, the creator of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, torched the film treatment for an adaptation of The Lord of the Rings back in June 1958. That'll be not long after they wrote it, because that was in the 50s, wasn't it? In letter 210 to Forrest J. Ackerman, who did the famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, I think it will want it. Tolkien did not hold back his criticism of the film treatment, and it gives us an idea of what he might have thought about Amazon Studios' upcoming adaptation in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Towards the beginning of the letter, Tolkien preemptively apologises for his tone used in his commentary on the film treatment. He wrote, "If Mr. Zimmerman and or others do so, they may be irritated or aggrieved by the tone of many of my criticisms. If so, I am sorry, though not surprised." Tolkien went on to explain the apology, but I would ask them, I'd probably say ask, wouldn't it, because it's very frightfully posh, but I would ask them to make an effort of imagination sufficient to understand the irritation and on occasion the resentment of an author who finds increasingly as he proceeds his work treated, as it would seem, carelessly in general, in places recklessly, with no evident signs of any appreciation of what it is all about. And there's Sam saying, "Get back, you filth!" Except he don't say it like that, does it? But next, Tolkien makes it very clear that canon should be respected, no matter what the medium is. The canon, see? Are you listening, people? The canons of narrative, I won't carry on with the posh voice. The canons of narrative in any medium cannot be wholly different, and if the failure of poor films is often... What happened there? I bet they did it in WordPad and forgot to change the... word thing, and you can make it go all over the page, or you can scrunch it all up. I bet they've done that. And the failure of poor films is often precisely in exaggeration and in the intrusion of unwarranted matter, owing to not perceiving where the core of the original lies. He also took issue with Zimmerman. Who's Zimmerman? Who's this? Does it say? Have I missed it? No, it doesn't say, does it? Well, but maybe it'll say further on. Whoever Mr. Zimmerman was is getting the brunt of Tolkien's ire. Anyway, he also took... Where are you going? He also took issue with Zimmerman reducing the story to a series of fights. He has cut the parts of the story upon which its characteristic and peculiar tone principally depends, showing a preference for fights, and he has made no serious attempt to represent the heart of the tale adequately, the journey of the ring bearers. Tolkien went on to claim that Zimmerman murdered the story writing. The last and most important pan of this has, and it is not too strong a word, simply been murdered. And there's Gondor. One of Tolkien's criticisms of the treatment was also the contraction of time, something Amazon Studios is doing in their show. Showrunner J.D. Payne explained the decision to contract the timeline in The Rings of Power. If you are true to the exact letter of the law, you're going to be telling a story in which your human characters are dying off every season because you're jumping 200 years in time, and then you're not meeting really big important canon characters until season 4. So what? Introduce new characters every season. It'll give more actors work, won't it? The fans will stick with it. as long as you're true to the spirit of Tolkien. Look, there might be some fans who wants to do a documentary of Middle-earth, but we're going to tell one story that unites all these things. I hate it when they do that. Documentary of Middle-earth. It's like when in Star Wars, I'm sorry, change its subject a bit now, but in Star Wars, in The Force Awakens, which I really liked, but the one part in it where the Starkiller base fires its beam and blows up Hosnian Prime, all them planets, blows them all up at once. But Han Solo and all them and Rey and Finn, they see it happen from another planet that could be like, thousands of light years from Hosnian Prime or hundreds of light years from Hosnian Prime. So they wouldn't see it, would they, in real time? And people complained a bit about that, saying that was a bit iffy, because J.J. Abrams has no idea about space. He has no idea about how space works. But he said in the commentary that were on the Blu-ray, he said, he admitted that people had complained about it, and he said Star Wars isn't a documentary. It's not a science, show. It's not accurate. He's saying he wanted it to look cool. That's what he means. If something looks cool, to hell with things making sense. And that's what a lot of filmmakers do. They think if something looks good or looks cool, to hell with verisimilitude. That's the word. Robert Meyer Burnett, the Viscount of Verisimilitude. Look him up. He's ace. Yeah, so to do that, and it's something that annoys me. I mean, yeah, you can make changes and stuff, to films, because films are never gonna be 100% accurate to science or the book that it's based on, ever. So you've got to have some give or take. But if it's too big a leap, then it's noticeable, and it's not good, and fans notice, and then you get filmmakers making excuses instead of just saying, sorry, I was wrong, I shouldn't have done it, I know I'm an idiot. But they won't, because their egos are too big. And these J.D. Payne and the other one, I don't know, where they're getting off, because they've got no. If you look at IMDb, they've got no credits at all. I think they've got some like in development credits of stuff that never happened. And I think the biggest gig they had, they did some rewrites or something on Star Trek Beyond, and they weren't even credited for that. So basically, they're part of the speaking of J.J. Abrams, they're part of the Bad Robot stable, and I think that's how they got this gig. They were Amazon. They were suggested to Amazon, by J.J. Abrams, and they thought, ooh, they must be good. But if you look at photos of them, going to be controversial now, might get me a ban, but they look like a pair of school shooters. But I digress. Tolkien criticised the contraction of time in the treatment writing. Here I may say that I fail to see why the time scheme should be deliberately contracted. It is already rather packed in the original, the main action occurring between September 22nd and March the 25th of the following year. The main impossibilities and absurdities which further hurrying producers might, I suppose, be unobserved by an uncritical viewer. See, this is why I say, I said I've not read the books because I don't like his style of writing, and I think it's a little bit. I know it's a fantasy set in an old-fashioned world, but even his writing's a little bit archaic, isn't it? And maybe I'm just an idiot. But I do not see why they should be unnecessarily introduced. Time must be naturally. See, I can't even bloody read that. Time must naturally be left vaguer in a picture than in a book, but I cannot see why definite time statements, contrary to the book and to probability, should be made, he added. While discussing the use of lembus in the script, is that lembus bread or is this lembus a person? I don't know. Tolkien expresses that he would resent perversions of his characters. It must be a person. He must have invented lembus bread. I do earnestly hope that in the assignments of actual speeches to the characters they will be represented as I have presented them. In style and sentiment, I should resent perversion of the characters, and do resent it so far as it appears in this sketch. even more than the spoiling of the plot and scenery. The Rings of Power has made it... Come on, stop going up there. Come down a bit. The Rings of Power has made it clear they do intend to pervert Tolkien's characters. Ooh, that's a strong wording, isn't it? From boundingintocomics.com. In a puff piece to promote the show for Vanity Fair, Prime Video revealed they are radically altering Galadriel's role as well as her personality. She's described as the commander of the Northern armies, as well as being angry and brash as she is clever. The justification for this new personality, as opposed to the one in Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Silmarillion, is that she's thousands of years younger. The problem with that is that Galadriel was actually born before the first age, so by the time the Rings of Power to take place, the second age, she has lives of experience in comparison to humans. Oh yeah, because I think Gary from Nerdrotic was saying, it says it somewhere in the canon, that elves age between like 50 and 100 years, to become adults. They mature, that's the word. Mature between like 50 and 100 years. So once they're 100 years old, they're adults, and they stay like that, probably until they die, maybe, I don't know. You don't see many old elves, do you? I haven't seen any. Well, they're not, because they're immortal, aren't they? They don't die. What am I talking about? They're immortal. They only die if they get killed. Anyway. Tolkien also appeared to be a stickler when it came to details. For example, he criticised the way the treatment depicted the staircase leading to Orthanc, the tower controlled by Saruman the White. He wrote the spiral staircase weaving around the tower, Orthanc, comes from Z's fancy, not my tale. Oh, my Zimmerman, yeah. Come from Z's fancy, not my tale. Because so obviously this Zimmerman chap put a spiral staircase going around the tower. I prefer the latter. The tower was 500 feet high. There was a flight of 27 steps leading to the Great Door, above which was a window and a balcony. Is that it? Is that all he's saying? So obviously, he's decided there's no... I mean, it does leave it a bit... because it shows it, doesn't it, in Peter Jackson's. How did Gandalf end up on top? It's a bit vague, isn't it? It's magic! On the other hand, Tolkien was also in favour of completely cutting out portions of the book that did not align with his writings. While discussing the defence of the Hornburg, he noted he was in favour of cutting out the entire battle in favour of the Ents. He explained, "I'm afraid that I do not find the glimpse of the defence of the Hornburg, this would be a better title since Helm's Deep, the ravine behind, is not shown, entirely satisfactory. I would, I guess, be a fairly meaningless scene in a picture stuck in this way. Actually, I myself should be inclined to cut it right out, if it cannot be made more coherent and a more significant part of the story," Tolkien boldly declared. It's his work, he could do what he wants, but I disagree with him there. He further elaborated, "If both the Ents and the Hornburg cannot be treated as at sufficient length to make sense, then one should go." Tolkien explained his choice. It should be the Hornburg, which is incidental to the main story. And there would be this additional gain that we're going to have a big battle, of which as much should be as made as possible, but battles tend to be too similar. The big one would gain by having no competitor. I see what he means. Tolkien's arguably largest criticism comes at the end of the letter. He writes, Pan 3. Is totally unacceptable to me as a whole and in detail. If it is meant as notes only for a section of something like the pictorial length of 1 and 2, then in the filling out it must be brought into relation with the book and its gross alterations of that corrected. If it is meant to represent only a kind of short finale, then all I can say is The Lord of the Rings cannot be garbled like that, he concluded. What do you think of Tolkien's criticism of this film treatment for Lord of the Rings? How do you think he would react to what Amazon is doing in the Rings of Power? I think he would be mighty cross with it. As I think Christopher Tolkien would. Not that I know much about him, but I think... I might be wrong, I don't know, but Christopher Tolkien was, he was okay with Peter Jackson's films, wasn't he, I think he was still alive, wasn't he, when they were doing. So, and Peter Jackson made some changes, didn't he? He cut out Tom Bombadil and other stuff. And some fans moaned about it, but I think Christopher Tolkien were okay with it. But anyway, so we'll leave it there at that. And oh no, we've got another story. Hey, I thought we'd done them, but we haven't. Bit of science news now. Are you ready? This could be quite exciting, or not, depending on your point of view. First hints of a planet orbiting in a white dwarf's habitable zone. Astronomers have found 65 evenly spaced rocks orbiting a white dwarf star in its habitable zone, hinting that a planet's gravity may be holding them there. And there's an artist's rendition. A distant white dwarf is surrounded by space rocks marching in perfect time. This observation offers hints of what may be the first planet we have detected in the habitable zone of one of these stellar corpses, suggesting that they might be just as good for life as bigger, younger stars. A lot of people think of a white dwarf as a dead system or a dead end, but this tells us that there is a lot of stuff going on around white dwarfs, says J. Farrell at University College London. He and his colleagues spotted these hints while observing a star called WD 1054-226, which lies about 118 light years away. Using several powerful telescopes, they found that something appeared to be regularly passing in front of the star, causing dips in its light. The biggest dip happened every 23.1 minutes, in a pattern that repeated every 25 hours. The measurements indicate that the star is surrounded by a ring of 65 comet-sized or moon-sized objects, remarkably evenly spaced in their orbits. The structures that are transiting are so highly regular that you can't really do that accidentally, says Farihi. That doesn't mean... Did I say something else? I think I said his name wrong before, didn't I? Apologise. It's Farihi. That doesn't mean it's aliens, though. Regular structures in space do invoke this idea of planetary engineering, but I favour the more mundane explanation, he says. Scientists. This is that the bits of cosmic debris are kept in order by the gravitational pull of a planet, orbiting slightly further away from the star. If we're correct that there is a planet causing this order, my guess would be that they would be around the size of Mercury or Mars, says Farihi. The researchers calculated that the orbiting objects are about 2.6 million kilometres from the star, about 4% of the distance between Mercury and the Sun, putting their temperatures at around 50 Celsius, which is right in the middle of the range for liquid water. This means that if there is a planet there, it could have the right temperature for oceans and maybe life. And that's all they're saying, isn't it? Yeah, they're saying that, but if it's so close, because I think it orbits, I read another article or something. No, I'm lying, I saw a YouTube video. They said the planet that is likely there would orbit the star every 25 hours, which is, it takes us 365 days to go around the sun, doesn't it? But a white dwarf is obviously very smaller. This star itself is about the same size as the Earth, but it actually, its mass is about the same, a little bit less than our sun. So and it's very hot. So if this planet, is quite close to it, there's also the chance it could be tidally locked, so that it's just one side faces the planet all the time. So you'd have one side that's really hot and the other side's really cold. So, but it's these, the public's imagination's been captured with these 65 evenly spaced objects. They're saying rocks out there and planet moons and comets, but it's the fact that they're evenly spaced. They're not perfectly evenly spaced. They said 23.1 seconds, but 23.1 minutes, but apparently it's not that. It's 23 minutes and so many seconds, and then but it varies apparently from this other YouTube video. Anton Petrov, I'll put his link in the description. He's very a good astronomy YouTube channel, but it's not they're not all the same, so it's not the same object. So if it was all the same frequency all the time, they'd think it's the same object going around really fast or whatever, but it's not. It's obviously several objects, different shapes and sizes, which is why the dip varies, but they're all roughly the same size, or maybe some a little bit closer and a little bit further away, but they're all being shepherded basically into this regular spacing, regular orbit. Which is what you see. You see stuff like this happen with Saturn's rings, for instance. You get little shepherd moons which perturb the rings and make little patterns in the rings. That look quite ordered, don't they? But it's actually gravity that's causing it from these shepherd moons that are doing stuff. So there you go. Or it could be aliens, and it's a big, massive space station going around the sun. It's a Dyson sphere or a ring world, as we talked about t'other day or yesterday, whenever it was. So there we go. So that's it for that. That was the last story. We'll leave it there. I've had some problems, so you might see me jumping about a bit because I've had to do some edits. Because I think my computer froze up for a minute, and then it came back, and everything seems okay now. I haven't had to restart it. But technology, eh? But anyway, we'll get rid of that window. We'll go back to space, the final frontier. And that's the Milky Way that you can see behind me. It's not actually behind me. What is actually behind me is my living room. I suppose I better go let Princess in, hadn't I? Although she's stopped jumping at the window. She's probably just sulking now, thinking, why aren't you letting me in? So I'll go do that, and we'll get some more news for tomorrow. I'm sure I'll find something interesting to read to you, and hopefully my computer will behave itself. So until then, I'll see you.